Welcome back to Kentucky Walks. I'm out here on the Prestonsburg Passage Trail, as you can see, in Prestonsburg, Kentucky. I want to take you along for a walk today. This is a walking, riding, and biking trail, and they have a lot of items here, as you can see from the here in front of me. They have a place for you to work on your bike if you were to need to do so, place to pump up your bike, as well as a rack to hang your bike on while you're walking. There's plenty of shelters along the way, place for you to rest, places for you, of course, for you to dispose of items you need to get rid of while you're walking. And this is a fairly long trail. It begins in, and there's several places you can get on the trail. Where I'm at right now, this is in West Prestonsburg, Kentucky, and we'll take you along for a walk. It's a bit of a chilly day out today, and it's probably, I think it's in the 40s out today, so have to dress appropriately, but it's certainly enjoyable to get out anytime that you can get outside. Hope that you're having a good day today. As we get up here to one of the points on the trail where there's a sign, I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And as we walk up to this first barrier, I want to talk a little bit about that. What that does, since it's restricted so that motor vehicles are not typically allowed on it, it prevents people from doing so, so that you're able to ride your bike through those. As you can see, there's plenty of space. I've ridden through those before and hopefully get to do so in the very near future and take you along with me while I'm doing that. But there's plenty of space to ride through it, but yet it prevents motor vehicles from being on the trail, or at least attempts to prevent it. I'll take you over here, and as you can see from these signs, let's talk a little bit about the Prestonsburg Passage Trail. The hours you're allowed on it is from dawn to dusk. Pass on the left. Clearly announce your intention to pass. Keep dogs on a leash and remove all waste from the trail. And it's really enjoyable if you do have a dog to be able to bring them along with you. And as you can see, horses require manure bags and soft shoes, so that you're allowed to take horses on the trail, but it is blacktop, so you would need to be cautious about that. As well as a sign over here for cautioning you, or at least informing you, that there is a potential for black bears. The black bear population in eastern Kentucky has reached a point where more and more people are encountering them, and I've seen them as well. And they're neat to watch, but you certainly need to be prepared depending on the situation and know exactly what you're doing. You certainly won't want to treat them like a pet. You don't want to walk up and try to pet one. It goes without saying, but certainly want to mention that. And I'm going to keep walking here. And this trail is 8.6 miles long in one way, so you get a fairly good distance to walk or ride your bike, especially riding your bike. And this trail came about, it wasn't just simply a trail that was made initially, but it used to be a railroad. So what they've done is took up all the old tracks because the railroad was no longer in use, blacktopped it, and then opened it for the public to utilize. This trail's been here for, I think, about a couple years now. It's been open. There's trails that you like to walk on. Put those in the comments below. I'd be interested to see if there's trails that I'm not aware of that I would like to go on and enjoy walking on as well. And as we pan by here, one of the places that you can get on the trail, one of the many places, is by Archer Park. It's also located in Prestonsburg, Kentucky. And I'll show you as we go by here part of what it looks like. It's in two parts, so you can see the first part, and as we pan around a little bit, you can see more of it to the left. And there's lots of swings and places for kids to play. And that's the trail if you were to enter from the Archer Park entrance, where you would walk up to actually get on the trail. We're walking by it there. It's a bit windy out here. I don't know if the microphone's picking that up, but I can sure feel it. You'll notice the enclosure there just to my left. What that's for, if you're not already aware, is a location for you to have your dog in a little area enclosed so they can't, of course, run off, get hurt, or anything like that, and they can run around, play in relative safety. Also, as I mentioned earlier about the bikes and, of course, horses, there is a speed limit you have to be cautious of when you're either pedaling or riding your horse. It's 20 miles an hour. And again, just another trash receptacle, which I think is really neat that they include that along the trail. Just a way to try to keep it clean and have a convenience for you to throw your stuff away, because a lot of times people, when they go walking, of course, they need to take any of the trash that they make back out with them, but like that, you can just, along the way, you know, especially if you're familiar with the trail, where you can empty that stuff out of your pack or maybe just your pockets. Something that we're just getting ready to approach, you'll notice on the right, it's a three-sided pillar along the trail. As you notice when we approach this pillar, that you'll see these every so often along the trail. This first one marked P1. So you can kind of get an idea of what mile marker you're at along the way. So you can keep track of it. Of course, there's apps for that. You can download those to your phone, as well as other devices that allow you to know how far you walked. But I think it's a nice touch that those are along the trail as well. So I just wanted to show you that. Some of the art, I don't know if it was intentional or just along the way that people have colored them. I'm not really certain, but they did a really good job with that one. I think that's really neat. And as you can see, along the way, there's roads at certain locations across the trail. So you have to be cognizant of that. And I'll show you one of those when I'm getting across that. Just to give you an idea that if you do walk on a trail, you need to be very careful if you bring children and yourself as well, and look and ensure that there's no traffic coming, that you're not going to walk out in front of a vehicle and ruin your day at the least, and maybe a lot worse. So you just want to be careful about stuff like that. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the video, there are shelters along the way. I don't think this qualifies as a shelter, but they have added locations where you can stop and rest if you need to, like this bench, and it's underneath, and I'll pan up and show you. It's underneath this very large bridge, so you would stay dry here if it were raining, but this isn't the kind of shelter I was talking about. There's more shelters like the first one that I showed you earlier, just along the way. Well, I didn't begin walking with a toboggan on, but I certainly like being prepared just in case I should need it, and it turns out I definitely needed it. So it's a nice day to be outside if you're dressed warm enough for it. I'd just be cautious. Of course, you don't want to be overheated, especially when you're walking and start sweating, and you don't want to get sick just for the opportunity to get outside. And I know sometimes it may be tempting, because I, like you, no doubt, love being outside. Love walking. Love being out in nature, walking on the trails. I love to hike. But you just need to be prepared for various weather. And right now, you could certainly come outside and not wear a toboggan. But if you're out here very long, I would certainly recommend carrying one with you, and that way you can take it on and off. If you get a little hot, you can just quickly remove it. I almost forgot to mention this as I was approaching it and started to walk down it, and I backed up just a little bit to show you what it looks like. This is certainly a spot that you would enjoy, especially if you're riding a bike, because most of this trail is fairly level, and there's just some little dips that you may go into, but this one is the largest, and my daughter certainly enjoys riding her bike on this trail, and a lot of others do as well. So I just wanted to show you that. Wanted to mention that to you so I didn't miss that, and if you get an opportunity to come out on your bike, you'll certainly see what I'm talking about. something else I want to mention is that while you're walking along, or more importantly, while you're riding along, there can be a lot of twists and turns on the trail, a lot of straight stretches too. But you just want to be cognizant of that due to the fact that it could be, well, little kids out on it, and you just want to make sure you have plenty of space and you're giving yourself enough time to react if a kid should be on the wrong side of the trail, especially while you're riding a bike. And everyone should be aware of where they're at. Kids are going to be less so, as you, if you're a parent, you know that. So you want to make sure that you're very watchful, and even if someone's made a mistake, you want to make sure that you're able to react and make sure that you and they don't have a terrible collision and someone get hurt. Another little rest area as we approach it. Again, not like what I was talking about with shelters, but just another little spot for you to stop and come through, throw any trash you have away, and a place for you to lock your bike up or let it rest off the trail. And as we approach one of these intersections I was talking about earlier in the video, you need to be cognizant of, because you could, if you're not paying attention, since it does lead to a road, you can pull up to it, and if you don't stop and again obey the yield sign, you could really get hurt. See, this is as I pan around just a little bit, you can see what I mean. So now we've stopped, I'm going to proceed. And again, just another little area where it's meant to keep motorized vehicles off of it, because certainly someone could turn onto this, even unintentionally. Maybe they're not from around here and they don't know this is a walking path. They think it's just a place they can drive down a one-lane road. Certainly not that. So that barrier prevents that.